Navigate the journey to becoming a great lawyer with expert guidance on topics that range from trial skills to corner office management. Here you will learn how to tap into your potential for legal greatness. I'm Andrew Smiley, and this is The Mentor, ESQ. Thank you for joining me today on this episode of Racing, Law, and the Power of Mentorship. So, given the title of my podcast and everything that I do as far as mentorship, the Mentor ESQ, obviously I'm a big proponent of mentorship in the law. We're going to talk a little bit about that today and ways to improve on mentoring and being mentored in the legal world. But also, I want to share with you the importance of mentorship that I'm currently experiencing as the mentee in the world of racing. Now, if this is not the first time that you're listening to my podcast, you probably know that one of my hobbies is high performance driving, and that I've currently progressed from just high performance driving in sports cars on racetracks to actually racing. And this year was a big step in that direction. I purchased a race car, and I've already entered some races, and I've got my racing competition license. And it's been very cool and very new for me. But what I've realized during this journey is that there are a lot of overlaps, believe it or not, between practicing law and giving the best you can as an attorney in your efforts to excel in the law with excelling on the racetrack and learning things on the racetrack. And what I've learned is that mentorship is important not just in the law, but it's equally important in the world of racing. And I'd like to spend a little time with you today on talking about how I feel that the two overlap and the lessons that we all can learn from mentorship, not just in racing, but in the law. Now, a mentor is so important, and that's why I do what I do as a mentor. I've been practicing law now for just about 30 years, and I think to become a mentor, really the prerequisite is experience and life lessons. I've walked the path that others have not yet, and I can look back on that journey that I've had over the last 30 years, my experiences in the courtroom, my experiences in litigation, what I've learned from speaking with so many other lawyers through the one-on-ones that I do, which, by the way, if you and I have not had a one-on-one yet, please sign up. You can find the link in the description. If not, just email me at asmiley@smileylaw.com, and I'll be happy to set it up. I offer complimentary one-on-ones with other attorneys on Zoom. So what I've learned through meeting with hundreds of people through that is that people just want to learn about what they can do that maybe they haven't done before. And I think that the phrase, "can I," is a phrase that is often one that is given to mentors. So if someone comes to me and says, "Can I say that in an opening statement at trial? Can I get this document into evidence? Can I cite to this case? Can I tell the judge this or that?" These are the types of "can I" questions that are answered by a mentor who has done it before, who has gotten knocked down and gotten back up. Believe me, I have. I've won cases, I've lost cases, and I think there's a common phrase out there that anyone who has been successful in their career or in their pursuits has only found that success after failure, right? We all need to fail to learn how we can do better. So while I am proud that I've had success in my legal career over the last 3 decades, I've also had failures, and I've learned from those. And that's helped me become an even better attorney and a better mentor because I can share the lessons I've learned with others. And that's what I do in my mentorship program. That's what I do in all the CLEs that I lecture. That's what I do in this podcast, is I share my knowledge. But I also need to learn. And the new world of racing that I'm getting into, I'm clueless, right? I'm a lawyer. I can talk about legal stuff, but when it comes to being on the track and driving in a race car and racing against others who have done this before, I need to know what I'm doing, right? And I need to be prepared, and I need to learn from those who have come before me, and I need to learn those lessons. I need a mentor. I cannot mentor myself, and I need someone who can tell me, what can I do? The can I questions. Can I pass another car on track during a race if there's a yellow flag? Can I floor the gas pedal and start to accelerate once the pace car goes in on an outlap, but before the green flag goes? These are questions that I have that I need to go to a mentor to answer. So given that framework, I want to chat a little bit about how I mentor and how I receive mentorship as a mentee. Well, first of all, many of you know that I have a mentorship program, and I've worked with lawyers, young, old, new, experienced, and because you can always learn something. And I've had 3 seasons of the mentorship program so far that have all been really successful, where I've talked with lawyers and I've met with them. We meet in the program once a month for 6 months straight. And we've done this 3 seasons already. And I've had a couple of hundred people come through the program. And it's with great pride that I have successfully mentored so many of these other attorneys. And now I see their success in getting good verdicts and hearing back from them about what they've learned. Or I was so excited to be on a subway train a few weeks ago and see lots of advertisements for this attorney and his law firm. And he was in my mentorship program a few years ago where we talked about marketing. So he took the lessons from the program and he's put those into play. And it's really cool to see that happen. Well, if you haven't been in my program and you're interested in it, I'm very excited to tell you that I have the 4th season of the mentorship program is going to be starting on January 14th, 2026. So if it's not January 14th, 2026 yet, and you're listening to this episode and you think you might be interested in picking up some new skills, some new insight, meeting other lawyers, having me and other attorneys to run things by and to workshop with in the areas of trial skills, public speaking, marketing, networking, referrals, all of that, then let me know. Shoot me an email, and I'll. And the next step would be to have a Zoom with me to talk about your interest and get you into the program. So again, my email, asmiley@smileylaw.com. It's in the description here. Reach out to me if you're interested in getting into the program. I'd love to have you and talk further about that. But while I'm working on my continuing mentoring of others, I've got my own mentor, and some of you have heard from him in my podcast, and his name is Torsten Gross. And Torsten is a good friend of mine, and he is also relatively new to racing, but he's already entered the world of racing, and he's about a year or 2 ahead of me. So while he's not an experienced race car driver or a professional race car driver, he's learned so much that for someone like me getting into the sport and learning the ropes, he's done it already. So he's able to share the lessons he's learned, where he's failed, where he's succeeded. So things that I can learn to improve my skill set and perform better when I get out on the racetrack. Torsten is an awesome guy. If his name is not familiar to you, I encourage you to go back and listen to the episode that I recorded with him in 2024. And we had a nice long chat, and you'll learn that Torsten is a pretty remarkable man. He was paralyzed, became quadriplegic at the young age of 15. And many decades later now, he's built and sold companies. He's had a lot of success. He's gotten into the world of high performance driving like myself. And he actually has a TV show now out on Amazon. It's out on Amazon Prime. Great watching. I encourage anyone who likes watching, F1 Drive to Survive or any other types of car racing shows. It's a 4-part season, and it's called Just Hands for the Love of Racing. It's on Amazon Prime Video, and they follow Torsten through his first season of racing a few years ago. And it's very similar to what I'm experiencing now in my first year of racing. And Torsten has been kind enough to mentor me and to help guide me through this crazy world of what kind of race car do I get? Is it all right to get an older one? What do I need to be concerned about? What are the expenses of a race car? Can you drive it on the street? No, you can't. How do you get it fixed and taken care of and prepped for track? How do you choose the color scheme and get it wrapped? Who does that for you? What kind of tires do you run on? What are slick tires? What are street tires? What are the differences? Which are the best ones? What kind of things should I invest in as far as cameras and data systems in the car and coaching? And there's so much that Torsten has just been my mentor, and he's been answering a lot of the can I questions. And I'm super excited to share with you that Torsten and I have started our own podcast. We've been recording, so it's not public yet. And I'm not going to tell you the title of it yet. It's a working title. But for those of you who are interested in the journey of getting into a car, learning how to drive it on track, and then progressing to the level that I have where you can start racing, I think you're going to enjoy hearing Torsten and I talk about the lessons learned and our experiences from the track. We have a real good time chatting about things. We can talk forever. And that podcast is going to be launching pretty soon. So keep a lookout for that. And actually, maybe what I'll do is get Torsten on the line now. Let's see if we can get him on the phone. And maybe he has a few words he can share with you on my podcast to preview what is coming up ahead. So let's see. I'm going to dial him up right now. Hold on a moment.
Hello.
Hey, Torsten, what's up, man?
What up, dude? Packing for Daytona. You ready?
Ah, nice. Can't wait, man. I'm psyched. You psyched?
I am. As long as we don't hit a wall.
As long as we don't hit a wall, we'll be all right. So listen, I'm calling you. I'm recording my podcast, The Mentor ESQ, and I mentioned you and I might be doing something as far as potentially a podcast together. What do you think about that?
You realize that we just got started, right? And we're just a couple of fakers. Do you think they're
I
going to
know.
care?
What do they call that? There's a name for that, right?
I don't know. I'm not as smart as you. I'm not a lawyer.
I think it's the imposter syndrome. Are we imposter racers? Is that what's going on?
You know what? I'm okay with that. And yes, we are definitely imposter racers for sure.
All right. You think maybe somebody would want to listen to us talk? I mean, who would listen to a podcast with me and you on it, talking about racing?
I would listen to us, but I guess I'm listening to us right now. So that's very meta of me, isn't it?
It is. It is. All right. Well, I'll let you go get packing. Let's see what happens with it. And let's go. Let's go Daytona. I'll see you down there.
Sounds good. See you down there.
All right. Bye. All right. Well, it's always great to hear from Torsten. And I will be going with him. We are leaving to Daytona next week. And Torsten and I will both be racing. And it'll be my first time at Daytona. My first time driving on the track there, my first time racing there. I'm super excited, and I'll let you know how it goes. But so far, my fledgling race career has been good so far. I raced at Watkins Glen earlier this year, and I got on the podium for my run group. And one of the things I learned is that when you go out on a racetrack, you'll be out there with some different, what they call run groups or divisions or classes. So they try and group you with equally powered cars because it's not fair if you enter a race and you're racing against a car that has twice the horsepower as you. There's really not a chance you're going to catch up to that other car. So what they do is, because there's usually not enough cars in the different categories individually to have their own race, they'll group, maybe there'll be 5 to 10 other cars like mine that qualify. And then there'll be 5 to 10 other cars that maybe are less powerful than mine, and 5 to 10 cars that are more powerful than mine. And we'll all be racing together. But at the end of the day, it's decided who goes on the podium. There'll be a first, second, and third for each class. And I was on the podium in all of my racing events so far and at Watkins Glen for my class. So I got trophies and accolades, which is really cool. It makes you feel like you belong a little bit. But I didn't get to that point without the preparation that comes into play to get behind the wheel of a race car and on the track. And it's the same type of mindset and the same type of preparation that goes into preparing your case for trial or litigating a case or preparing for a deposition. You've probably heard my mantra over and over again. Preparation, preparation, preparation. You can never over prepare. The key is to prepare in advance. So when I have a trial coming up, I prepare everything in advance. And I think you all know that. Just take a look at my book on trial skills or listen to my podcast episodes where I talk about preparing for depositions and preparing an opening statement or preparing a cross-examination or direct. It is all of the behind the scenes work, all of that preparation before the deposition, before the trial, that's going to allow you to succeed. And it's the same thing in high performance driving. It's all the behind the scenes preparation before the race, before you get there and before the green flag is waved, indicating it's the start of the race. That'll put me and will put other drivers into their best position to succeed. So there's a lot of overlap there. And the key is that when you have preparation and you've done your homework in advance, it'll reduce your anxiety and you'll feel more comfortable for what lays ahead. One overlap that I think of a lot is when I'm sitting in the race car before a race starts. There's something called a false grid, which I find is a strange name. I think it would be better to be called the pre-grid or just the grid or the early grid. But if you've watched F1 races and the cars based on how they qualify, it's a standing start, which means they all line up first through 20 or however many cars are in the race, and they start the race on the track, in the car, in line, so to speak, of where they qualified. So the fastest person is going to start at the front of the queue of all the cars, the slowest in the back, and so on. That's a standing start. They do that in F1. They have all the red lights go, they drop, and the cars floor it, and off they go. In the racing that I do, amateur racing, and I believe the majority of racing, they have what's called rolling starts. So instead of having everybody floor it when the light turns green, they send you out in order of qualifying. So the person who qualified the fastest starts on what's called pole, they're first, and then everybody behind, and they send you out on track in order. And you do a lap, sometimes more than one lap, behind a pace car. And then after that lap or 2 laps is done, the pace car goes into pit lane. You wait, the green flag's waved, and you floor it, although you're already moving, and you take off. So before you go out onto that initial pace lap, they have what's called the false grid. And what they do is they have all the cars line up in order of how they're going to go out on track. And you line up, and you get there in time. You have to be there before race start, and you're sitting in your car. And race cars don't have stereos in them. So you're sitting there and you're just with yourself and you're hearing everybody firing up their engines and you've got the nerves running through you and you're seeing the car to your left and your right and you're thinking about the race and all the things you want to do to have success. And you're anxious, right? You're getting ready to go, but you're not going yet. And you're just sitting there in the car waiting for them to give you the signal to proceed out onto the track. So I equate that with when I'm sitting at counsel table in a trial while the judge is giving the jury their initial charge, their initial instructions before the trial begins, and before I'm going to be the first person to get up and give my opening statement on a trial before a jury. And it's the same sort of anticipation, the same sort of anxiety, the nerves are running. I know I've prepared as much as I can. I know what I'm going to say in my opening statement. I have my outline ready. You all know how I prepare for openings, and many of you do the same now, which I'm very happy to know. And I'm ready to rock and roll. But before I get up there, before I start talking in front of this jury, before I start presenting my case, I'm waiting. And I'm looking at my notes, and I'm a little anxious, and I'm a little nervous, right? Sometimes more nervous, sometimes less nervous, depending on how things are going. Same thing in the race car. I'm getting ready to get out on track. I've prepared, but I'm anxious. There's a lot of unknowns. You don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if a car is going to crash into me from behind. I don't know if there's going to be a crash in front of me that I've got to get around. I don't know if I'm going to make the right moves or if someone's going to make a move on me. I just don't know what's going to happen. You just don't know until you get going, right? It's the same thing in a trial. You can prepare as much as you want, but you're just not going to know exactly how it's going to play out until you get underway. I know I've done everything to have a great opening statement, but what if there's an objection? What if the judge interrupts me? What if something happens that's unforeseen? You've got to be ready to react. Same way on the racetrack. I have to be ready to react. So how do you do that? You prepare and you have good mentors. And the mentors are going to help you prepare. The same way I can help other lawyers and guide them in the proper way to prepare for a trial, I have Torsten and I have others in the motoring community, the motorsports community, who are going to give me guidance and help me prepare for a race. And that involves practicing. That involves getting out on the track in my car when I can and getting practice in. It requires understanding where my braking zones are. It requires understanding, the capabilities of my car, of where I can get on the power more or less, on how to manage things. Sometimes the weather doesn't cooperate. When it gets rainy out there, that's a little scary. It could cause more sliding. It's making sure your car is properly set up. There's different ways to set up a car for different tracks. So when I'm going to Daytona, it's got that big bank, like an oval, that I'll be driving on. And so the car has to have the suspension set up by the people that help get my car ready for this stuff. You need help unless you're a mechanic and know what you're doing, which I'm not. And I need them to set me up for success as well. So, whatever it is you do for pleasure, if it's competitive, you need to prepare. If it's work, you need to prepare. But you're going to need mentorship. You're going to need help in preparing and getting it going. So why do I like this? Why do I like going to the track? I want to give you a little bit of insight because people ask me that all the time. You're a lawyer. What's going on? What is this? I hear you're going racing. Tell me about it. Aren't you scared? Are you worried about crashing? Is your family worried? So I just want to share with you a little bit about what it's like. And first of all, it's so much fun. And it's not the thrill-seeking craziness that a lot of people think it is. They think you're getting in a car, you're going so fast, it's so dangerous. The reality is that I feel so much safer on a racetrack than I do driving on the highway. And the reason for that is, first of all, I'm not worried about drunk drivers. I'm not worried about drivers going the other way and crossing over the lane and hitting me. I'm not worried about bad drivers who aren't paying attention or road rage or looking at their phones while they're driving. I'm not worried about any of that stuff when I'm on the track, because when I'm on the track, I know I'm on with other people who have had training. They've gotten their racing license. They've come up to a certain level of skill that you have to get in order to be authorized to get out on a racetrack and get a license. So we're all going the same direction. We all know the rules of engagement. There's flagging. If there's an accident, you're alerted to it. So yes, you can crash. Things can happen. You could spin out. You could hit other cars. You could hit a wall. But race cars, unlike street cars, are designed for impact. They're designed to protect me as the driver, the occupant. I've got a full metal roll cage in there, steel. And God forbid I get into a bad crash. Most likely the worst thing that's going to happen is my car is going to have to be fixed and it's going to cost money. But I will be protected. I have a 6-point harness that straps me in. I wear a helmet. I have what's called a Hans device. It's a head and neck restraint, hence Hans, head and neck restraint device. And it basically looks like a collar that goes around your neck that has little straps that connect it to the helmet. So if it's a front or rear end high-speed collision, my head doesn't snap off my spine and it keeps your head safe. I have a driver cockpit seat that I'm in, my driver's seat, that is rigid. And actually the sides up by my head come out past my ears on either side of my helmet, and it's rigid. So between the harness, the Hans device, the rigid seat, the roll cage, if I get into a crash or roll over, I'm going to be well protected. Additionally, there's concerns about fires. if you crash and there's a spark, there's concerns that your car could go on fire. You can have a mechanical issue. So race cars are required to go on track a fire suppression system. And I have a big red button right on my dashboard that if I'm in my car and I see fire or smoke, I hit that button and all of a sudden the suppression system kicks in and sprays all over and hopefully puts out the fire. I also am required for a race to wear a race suit. I've got a pretty cool racing suit. If you go to the website, thementoresq.com, you'll see it on my page. And it has my logo on it, just like my race car does. You can see pictures of that. If you're watching this podcast, the car is behind me in my backdrop. And in addition to looking cool, the racing suits have a purpose, and they must be made of fireproof material. So if the car does go on fire, I will have time to get out of the car. I'll be protected because I'm wearing all fireproof material, fireproof shoes, gloves, and racing suit. So there's a lot of thought going into it. They don't send people out in just average cars who don't know what they're doing on track. So there's a lot of safety and there's a lot of protection. So I feel good about that. And I also am prepared. So you don't go out there. A lot of people think racing is you just get in a car and see how fast you can go around the track. And it really isn't like that. There's a lot of science. There's a lot of things that have to be figured out as far as the balance of the car, of braking, of when to brake, when to accelerate, how hard to turn the wheel, when to turn in, when to let off. You can't just drive fast around the track. You have to turn in at the right point. There's so much to learn. That's why people have coaches and they have mentors. And I'm always learning. Every time I'm out on track, it's a learning experience. It's pretty cool that I've gotten to the point now where at my home track of Lime Rock, I can do some instructing of friends that I bring out on the track. I'm authorized to go out and be their instructor. So I've learned a lot over the last few years so that I can help others enjoy it. If you're interested in getting out on track with me, I do offer that. It's usually in auctions that I will auction off a day at the track with me. So keep a lookout for that. And if you want to do that, let me know. I'd love to get you out on the track and show you what it's about. But one of the best things about high performance driving race cars, and why I think many people like-minded like me, I know other lawyers that like to race. Many of the people who I meet with are entrepreneurs, or they have very stressful, high-power type jobs. It's because if you're like me, you're an entrepreneur. If you're listening to this podcast, you're probably an entrepreneur. You're probably a hustler. You're figuring out what your next moves are, right? How can I be better? How can I be a better lawyer? How can I grow my firm? How can I grow my own practice? We're always, even though the law is our business, we're always hustling. We're entrepreneurs. We're always thinking. And I think that to be successful, your mind is always going. You're always thinking ahead. You've got that deposition coming up next week, that big one. You want to make sure you're prepared. You're thinking about it. Or you've got a trial going on and your mind is just racing all day, all night about who you've got to question next and being prepared, or working on an outline for a trial or deposition, and your mind's racing. And it's very hard to turn that off. I find that, and I found in speaking to people, that they have that as well. I believe you'll hear from Torsten. He also has a hard time sort of shutting down, turning off his mind. I have a lot of other friends and colleagues that feel the same way. And one of the wonderful things about competing and being in high performance driving, and this applies to other activities as well. My daughter rides horses, and she got into it because I used to ride horses. I would find in horse riding or in driving cars, especially now in high performance driving and racing, is that your mind cannot wander. Your mind is dialed in to the task at hand. You have to use 100% of your cognitive ability in the moment, in the car, on the track, because otherwise it could be catastrophic. You must react. You have to act on instinct, right? There's no time to think it through too much. I'll be driving 150 miles an hour. And what do I do if some debris flies out on the track, or a car cuts off in front or slams on the brakes in front of me. My instincts have to kick in. My preparation has to kick in, because I'm not going to be able to sit back and think about it. Same way if I'm in a courtroom, I'm cross-examining an expert. I've got a doctor up there who's giving me a really hard time, and I've got to, on the fly, think about how I'm going to rephrase my questions to get the answer that I'm trying to get, right? So whether it's driving at 150 miles an hour and having to make an immediate correction and decision, whether it's being in a courtroom or in a deposition or figuring out how to handle a situation you're in, the way you do that is by being prepared and practicing. So then your instincts kick in, right? And then you're able to just let it naturally happen. And that's when you hear about athletes being in the zone, right? And that's when you hear about lawyers being in the zone. I've definitely come out of a cross-examination, and when I'm speaking with my father guy or the other lawyers in my firm or my clients, I'm like, oh, I was in the zone. I just knew what I was going after. I had the right questions. Sometimes I'm feeling that way also in other parts of the trial, or opening or closing. It's the same way on a racetrack. Sometimes you have sort of not a great lap. You didn't hit your points. You didn't get in the time that you wanted. You're not pleased. And then sometimes you're just flying and everything is just going. And when you're in the zone, it's just the most amazing thing. So for me, car racing, high performance driving is an outlet. It's an outlet from my day-to-day stresses, my day-to-day obligations, my work, running a law firm, being a husband, being a father, being on trial, having clients, marketing, being on the boards of legal associations, being on the boards of the Just Hands Foundation, which Torsten has started. I have a lot going on, and sometimes you need to refocus and give your mind a break and focus on something else. And then that helps you succeed when you then return to your day-to-day obligations. So racing does that for me. And it's one of the reasons why I love it so much, and why I think other people love it as well. So at the core, this is where mentorship comes in. You need great mentorship to get great results from the mentee. And that's what I've been extremely fortunate to have had great mentorship my entire life from my father, Guy. Many of you know him. If you haven't heard the interview, I think it was the second episode ever of this podcast is when I interviewed my father, Guy Smiley. At the time of this recording, he's 87 years old. He's still part of the practice, although taking it easy, rightfully so. And his focus is more on getting out on the tennis court than being in a courtroom, which is okay by me. But over the last 50 plus years of my life, I've had the benefit of my father as a mentor in life, as a father, as a husband, as a person, as a human, but also as a trial lawyer, as a law firm owner, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur. And so I've had the benefit of learning from him so much. And then when you add that to my own experiences over 30 years, that's why I'm able to give mentorship to other lawyers, share the things I've learned along the way from mentorship and from my life experience. So that's what I need to pass on and continue to do in mentoring others. And that's now what I seek from Torsten and from others in the world of racing, who are going to continue to give me feedback and coaching and training on how to prepare and how to excel and to continue to grow. And so mentorship is really important. And I encourage you to mentor others, whether it's in the law or anything else that's a passion of yours, or that you feel that you've gotten a lot of life experience from. That's really where the ability to be a mentor comes from, is from experience. That's it. So I encourage you to share experiences you've had for people that may be new to whatever it is. If you love gardening and you're part of a garden club and someone signs up and they want a garden, you're going to share with them. You've learned a lot over the years of what's lasted, what's failed, right? And when you plant something, what works, what doesn't work. Or if it's a hobby of another sport, or someone wants to get into lifting weights or running or play pickleball, right? Solly, who you hear me talk about, Michael Solomon, attorney in my firm, he shared with me that his neighbors have convinced him to join them in playing pickleball lately. and he never played it before, or tennis and any other racket sports, and he's loving it. But he has his pickleball mentor telling him what kind of rackets are the best to get, and strategy and advice and playing. And so, whatever it is, whether it's car racing, gardening, the law field, or another area of business, find ways that you can mentor others and then see where you can receive mentorship, where you can learn more, because we can always learn more. And I will keep looking to Torsten to help me in my racing career moving forward and having conversations about growth and improvement and how to prepare better. And I will continue to look for other mentors in the field to help me to learn. So I encourage you to meet up with me if you're looking for some mentorship in the legal field. I really, really enjoy it. People ask me, why do I do it? Why do I spend all this time with my podcast and the books and the mentorship program when I have all this other stuff going on? And the real answer is it's a little bit selfish, because I get pleasure out of helping others. I just do. And whether I'm helping others who are my clients and getting a good result for them, or helping them through a tough time, or helping a lawyer who's never tried a case before, and then they come back to me and say, oh my God, I won my trial. I did all the stuff that you helped me learn, or I read your book. It just doesn't get better than that. It really doesn't. And that's why I do this, folks. I enjoy it. I know that there are people out there that are seeking mentorship, but they don't have it. Most people don't. Most lawyers are working alone. Even if they're in a firm, they're not getting guidance from the partners or colleagues. They're given assignments or projects or trials, and they have to do it all on their own. So it's really hard. Nobody can work in a vacuum. No one can be truly successful just on their own. You need someone to bounce things off of. You need guidance, and mentorship is the way to do it. So join me. Join my mentorship program. Reach out to me. I'd love to have you. And please keep an eye out for my new podcast with Torsten. It's going to focus on racing. It's going to focus on racers like us, right? We're not Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen or anything close to that. We don't make money racing. It is a hobby. We are amateurs. It is a fun thing. It is not our day job. We feel like imposters when we're out there doing it, but we're doing pretty well, and we're improving, and we're getting better and better and learning each way. And that's all we can do. And that's the only restriction you should place on yourself when you're starting a new endeavor is go into it with a good attitude, hoping to learn something. I always say that if I'm giving a lecture, if you take just one or two little things away from it, you don't have to take a lot of it. But if you take a few things away and that helps you, that's great. And if you're mentoring someone, if you could just give them a few things that they take away from it, you've made a big impact. And it's a wonderful thing to do. So please reach out to me. Please stay in touch. Keep an eye out for the next episode. And I look forward to many, many more discussions about mentorship, about racing, and about the law. So if you want to level up in law, in racing, or in life, it starts with finding the right mentor. Let's do it. And I'm wishing you all a great day, and I look forward to the next episode. Take care.